They never saw you coming, not like this. There's a momentum building behind everything you are, and it's impossible to ignore. The shift isn't subtle anymore. You're becoming the very force you used to tone down for the comfort of others. And now? That silence has no place here. There's a clarity to your presence that's rearranging rooms and reconfiguring futures. Long before you understood what pulsed inside you, others caught glimpses, and it unnerved them. When your intuition cut through layers of illusion, when your presence disturbed their fragile narratives, they didn't offer you understanding, they offered resistance. Not because you were wrong, but because your truth disrupted their illusion of control. So they constructed clever detours. Whispered labels into your ears, fed you stories of limitation dressed as love. They didn't have the language to comprehend you, so they minimized what they couldn't name. They needed you small to stay comfortable. So they called your clarity sensitivity, your insight overthinking, and your knowing luck. All the while, the ember inside you kept flickering, waiting for the wind. But suppression does not erase, it sharpens. Like roots growing in silence, your power steadied the terrain, mapping every doubt you ever swallowed. What they mistook for submission was incubation. And now, everything they tried to bury is blooming, louder, brighter, more undeniable than ever. There's a current flowing through you that defies the rules they tried to write for you. You are no longer asking to be seen, you are making the air shift with every step. This isn't about validation. It's about embodiment. The energy that once made you feel isolated is now calling everything meant for you into orbit. What used to feel like rejection now reads like redirection. All those moments that tried to break you down were actually breaking open the walls built around your potential. Every dismissal, every eye roll, every time they laughed at your dreams, it was compost for your evolution. The timing was never late. It was layered. You were gathering wisdom while they slept on your light. But that season is over now. This chapter is electric. And the universe is not asking you to dim, it's handing you the mic. They tried to tame what couldn't be caged. The more they pushed you to dull your senses, the more precise your perception became. Each time your depth was labeled excessive, a deeper intelligence carved itself into your bones. Their refusal to understand only fine-tuned your instincts. They thought they were silencing you, but they were forging something too resilient to fracture. Buried beneath the noise of conformity, something wild and luminous was gathering speed. And now, as the air around your life begins to crackle, three invisible forces are rising at once, distinct but inseparable, designed to escort you to the edge of a version of yourself you've only glimpsed in flashes. The first is the quiet mechanism that's always shaped your reality, not through effort, but through frequency. While others script goals and chase results, your inner world has always whispered futures into motion. It's only now becoming visible how naturally you shift the direction of the unseen. The second is the shift in your field, not something you can hold, but something felt. Interactions have changed. Doors that once refused to open are now unlocking on approach. And yet, not all attention is welcome, because power pulls both curiosity and challenge in equal measure. What's drawing in dreams is also revealing distortions. The third is the rhythm of timing, not a clock's ticking, but a cosmic alignment that reshapes momentum. This isn't about waiting for the right moment, it's about realizing that the moment has been building around you all along. You're stepping into a spotlight that was always yours, not because you chased it, but because you finally stopped hiding from it. Together, these forces are dissolving the old scaffolding you once clung to. What felt like protection now feels too tight. What once helped you survive is now weighing down your rise. And as you strip it away, you're not just changing your life, you're reintroducing yourself to yourself. False modesty is no longer camouflage, it's a limitation. The old ways of shrinking, blending, and over-explaining are losing their grip. There's a current flowing through you now, and those near you feel it in ways they can't name. You are no longer becoming. You are arriving unapologetically, unmistakably, and entirely. There's something in you that acts like a mirror with memory. Not the kind that shows people who they are, but who they could have been if they hadn't forgotten. Your presence doesn't just stand out, it stirs something in others. And while some feel inspired to rise with you, others recoil, unsure if what they're feeling is admiration or envy. It's not personal. It's energetic contrast. In moments of deep connection, allies reveal themselves through their calm. The ones who don't compete only reflect more light. And then there are those who only show up when your glow makes them feel dull. Some reach to lift, others to latch. Discernment isn't just helpful here, it's everything. Misplaced trust can tangle progress in knots of delay and distraction. The setbacks you faced weren't coincidences. The betrayals, the scarcity, the disconnections, they weren't chaos. They were calculated distractions placed along your path to keep you fixated on wounds instead of waking. Those difficulties weren't the real threat, your potential was. That's what they were trying to deter you from realizing. Nothing about your path has been random. The harder the pushback, the closer you were to something irreversible. These weren't just tests, they were decoys designed to mask the gateway. But a deeper awareness has emerged recently, moving faster than your thoughts can catch. You're not evolving, you're remembering. That long stretch of quiet wasn't a punishment. It was preparation. The solitude wasn't void, it was an incubation chamber. When the outside noise faded, the internal voice sharpened. You began hearing things that had been buried under the rubble of doubt for years. And what emerged wasn't new, it was ancient and yours. What looked like disappearance was really download. Your silence fed strength. And now that strength is becoming visible in ways you can't disguise. The change isn't just felt, it's seen. In posture. In presence. In the way strangers pause when you walk into a space, unsure of what just shifted. Everything you were told to hide is becoming the very thing that sets you apart. This isn't about reclaiming, it's about revealing. The energy you carry now doesn't just alter you, it echoes outward. And that echo is calling forward everyone who's ready, while exposing everything that isn't. There's a quiet ignition happening beneath the surface, one that can't be traced to new routines or external upgrades. This illumination others keep noticing isn't cosmetic. It's an eruption from the inside out, born of recalibration at the deepest level. The shift is biological, emotional, spiritual, and it's rippling outward with undeniable intensity. Past connections are resurfacing like moths to a light they once disregarded, drawn by something they can't name but desperately want to feel again. The rise in attention isn't coincidental, it's magnetic feedback. New faces are being pulled into your orbit with a force that feels both exhilarating and disorienting. There's no longer a question of whether you're visible, the only question is who sees you clearly. And with this rising visibility comes a necessary sharpening of instincts. Some are arriving to build with you. Others are here only to tap into the fire you've cultivated without ever striking their own match. The danger lies not in the obvious takers but in the cleverly disguised ones, the ones who mirror support but subtly plant the seeds of dependence. They'll nod in agreement while nudging you back into smaller roles that serve their comfort. Others will imitate your shine without having endured the furnace that forged it. They'll posture as equals, hoping proximity alone will grant them access to your frequency. And this is where clarity must become your compass. What felt like deprivation in the past now reveals itself as protection. The constraints that once made you question your value were never random. They rerouted your attention inward when the world offered distractions too loud to ignore. Scarcity stripped away the noise. In stillness, you retrieved parts of yourself buried under external identity. When you thought life had paused, you were actually entering a sacred rewrite. The illusions that once held weight have started dissolving. Manipulations no longer pierce your boundaries. Guilt and fear tactics bounce off the new infrastructure you've built. That former version, the one who negotiated her worth, no longer exists. In her place stands a force that no longer entertains anything that demands self-abandonment. Those who once relied on your silence are now stumbling to adjust to your voice. Pain has sculpted perception into a tool more precise than ever. You no longer decode intention through words, you read it in pauses, glances, shifts in tone. Every experience that once hollowed you out has now filled you with insight. This sharpened awareness is acting as a filter, drawing in a new kind of presence. Bonds are forming, not from need or obligation, but from mirrored recognition of shared frequency. This momentum is irreversible. What you carry can no longer remain tucked in shadows. It was never meant to be secret, it was meant to spread. Whether through art, speech, presence, or silent influence, your impact is expanding. And though the spotlight may take unfamiliar forms, it's here. Not for show, but for purpose. You're not just being seen. You're being felt. And that's where real change begins. There's a reason your presence stirs movement, whether through spoken words, creative output, or silent influence. It's not the format that creates impact, but the depth behind it. The force flowing through your expression doesn't need a stage, it only needs space. Whether shared in sacred conversations, healing work, or quiet innovation, your imprint reshapes those who encounter it. And yes, the weight of this role can feel immense when you pause to grasp its reach. This wasn't an assignment handed to you by chance. You weren't pushed into this life. You stepped into it willingly, long before this lifetime began, with full awareness of what it would demand. Every setback, heartbreak, and threshold you've crossed was part of the architecture. None of it random. All of it training. You came to light the path, not merely walk it. Looking back, the pattern reveals itself clearly. Moments you once thought were missteps now show up as coded instructions. Those early experiences of not fitting in were never flaws, they were signals. The unusual paths you walked were calibrations, preparing your system for a kind of leadership that couldn't be taught in conventional spaces. Every breakdown served as groundwork. The friction with others was never just personal, it was energetic calibration. Emotional exhaustion taught you strength. Financial drought stripped illusions about where worth lives. Disappointment refined your instincts. You weren't failing, you were being fortified to hold more power with grace and discernment. Now, old ties are circling back, wearing new masks. Some bring acknowledgement. Others bring amnesia. They remember what benefits them, and forget the harm they caused. Apologies may be genuine, but not all invitations deserve acceptance. You can forgive without reopening old doors. Their presence may stir nostalgia, but your clarity doesn't flinch. Growth has given you lenses that see beneath the surface. The magnetic pull of your current self doesn't just attract, it reveals. Romantic interest, friendships, partnerships, all are responding to your evolution. But with this momentum comes the responsibility to respond with precision. Where you once craved belonging, you now prioritize alignment. Unlikely doors are opening. Encounters seem orchestrated. Ideas once delayed are materializing fast. What once felt out of reach is now landing directly in your path. This isn't coincidence, it's coherence. You're in rhythm with something much larger than logic can hold. And the world is ready, because you finally are. There's a distinct rhythm forming in the background of your life, one that matches the tone of who you truly are, not who you were trained to be. This isn't a matter of chance or timing. It's the effect of full spectrum alignment. Your inner resonance is so clear now that the world has no choice but to respond in kind. What once resisted now yields. What once blocked now yields passage. Access arrives through recognition. The right people, conversations, and pathways unfold like coded signals answering a frequency only you could emit. But with this pace comes the requirement for precision. Every interaction becomes more vivid, every room louder. Without refined self-protection and awareness, the momentum can become entanglement. Energy hygiene isn't a luxury anymore, it's foundational. Trying to rescue everyone nearly drained you. That outdated impulse to carry burdens that were never yours has expired. Healing isn't martyrdom. Your clarity doesn't demand sacrifice, it demands sovereignty. Offering space for others to evolve does not require you to absorb their turbulence or intercept their consequences. Let their path be their own, just as yours has been. Your expanding expression isn't compartmentalized, it's fused. The abilities surfacing now aren't random talents, but extensions of one current, channeled in unique form. They may manifest in strategy, art, teaching, or touch, but each gift is part of a singular pattern, disruption through elevation. The nudge to create, build, or share is not indulgent. It's instruction. Even if you don't yet know the exact shape of your impact, the momentum is undeniable. Invitations will feel spontaneous, but they've been circling your field for a long time, waiting for your signal of readiness. That signal has been sent. Your distinct energetic fingerprint can't be imitated. It's not about being louder. It's about being truer. Not everyone will celebrate this emergence. Resistance will arrive dressed as critique, challenge, or confusion. Structures that depend on conformity will feel threatened by what you embody. Don't confuse that discomfort for misalignment, it's affirmation. The louder the pushback, the deeper the shift. You're not disturbing, you're activating. Protection is not always loud or visible, but it is unwavering. The more you anchor into who you are, the more untouchable you become, not in arrogance, but in essence. You're no longer drawn to surface-level exchange. You crave resonance over recognition. And now, you're calling in people, places, and experiences that meet you, not just politely, but profoundly. This is not the end of your solitude. It's the beginning of your chosen circle. There's a rare kind of vision resting behind your eyes, not just foresight, but pattern recognition of what reality could become when hearts awaken and souls remember. This perception wasn't given to inflate ego, but to guide momentum. And soon, you'll start sensing others whose frequencies carry similar blueprints. Their mission echoes yours, distinct in delivery, unified in intention. These meetings won't be casual. They'll feel like puzzle pieces finding their place after lifetimes scattered. The solitude that shaped you was not a sentence, it was an initiation. Now, a rapid unfolding begins. Multiple energies you've cultivated in silence are colliding into one singular turning point. It won't just change your life, it will rewrite your trajectory from this moment forward. Abilities you once felt flicker are about to roar. The energetic shift you've been riding is about to split the path beneath your feet, offering no more middle ground. You'll feel a pull, one direction leading into full embodiment, the other looping back to familiar reductions of self. But the space for postponement has closed. Choices will be made, even in silence. Everything attached to you will feel the ripple. Bonds will either expand with you or naturally unravel. Circumstances that once seemed tolerable will demand transformation or release. Creativity, finances, physical wellness, all of it will be called into coherence. Unspoken dreams will become pressure points until they are given breath and form. The person you played before was essential to survive unfamiliar terrain. But now that mask no longer fits. There's no returning to roles built for someone still unsure of their power. Every gift you carry now functions with intention, no longer leaking energy, but channeling it into creation. Relationships that remain in your orbit will mirror this shift, not with need, but with shared direction. Resources are arriving not as rewards, but as instruments for greater work. They aren't for display, they're tools for service. The recognition you once yearned for will arrive after you no longer require it. And when it does, you will recognize it as feedback, not fulfillment. Those returning from your past will serve as markers of contrast, reminders of the gap between who you were and who you've become. And in this final shedding, what remains is pure presence. The sense of isolation is fading, replaced by refined connection. Your new standard doesn't just raise expectations, it rewrites the rules. Every aligned opportunity is a mirror reflecting back your own rise. And the voice you're meant to share? It won't need performance. Only truth. There are those who now admit they misjudged you, though it's more about them than it is about you. Others still cling to old narratives, even as your evolution plays out before their eyes. Both postures reveal something vital, not about your worth, but about the limits of their perception. The game, as you've always suspected, was never fair. And now, as illusion buckles, the question is no longer why but what next. Impact was never about going viral. It's about reaching the right nervous systems, at the right resonance. The creative frequencies you carry, whether spoken, silent, or sculpted, aren't designed for everyone. They never were. They're magnetized through alignment, not visibility. Every detour, every no, every ending that left you breathless was actually redirection. The path has always been more precise than you imagined. Delay wasn't denial, it was refinement. Your timeline adjusted itself to prepare you for thresholds that couldn't be crossed unready. Spaces that once felt like punishment were in fact sanctuaries for recalibration. What once felt like abandonment was actually protection from roles that would have kept you dim. The pain you thought disqualified you became the very proof that you were being prepared for something precise. What they mocked was actually your blueprint. The softness you were told to harden has become your advantage. The clarity they dismissed now orients your every decision. You no longer seek confirmation from the people who once doubted you, because you're now grounded in the kind of knowing that doesn't ask permission to exist. Those who finally see you aren't giving you value. They're reflecting back what you chose to remember. What you once held close, guarded by silence, is now stretching outward, ready to be seen. The platform you thought was missing was actually forming under your feet all along. And the ones who need what you offer, they aren't somewhere out there, they're arriving now. You've crossed the border from waiting into embodiment. You're not chasing better days. You've walked into them. You're not just waking up for yourself, you're part of a wider ignition. This change moving through you is echoed across timelines and geographies, among people you'll never meet but whose lives will shift because you said yes to this path. You've been placed at a key position in the circuit, not to dominate, but to light the way with integrity. Your awakening isn't the whole wave, but it is a current that fuels it. You've always had the ability to adapt, to mirror, absorb, adjust, just to survive spaces that didn't understand you. But now that fluidity is becoming artistry. No longer unconscious defense, it's now directed precision. You're no longer contorting to fit into smaller containers, you're expanding the container itself. What used to cost you your energy is now your most powerful asset, not to shrink, but to shape. Moving between vastly different environments while maintaining your center isn't a performance, it's alchemy. Whether the setting is strategic, sacred, or deeply personal, you're able to recalibrate your presence to match the frequency that best facilitates elevation, not through compromise, but through coherence. This is an adaptation for approval. It's the art of resonance. And it's become one of your most refined tools. That long stretch of solitude wasn't about hiding, it was about wiring. Your entire system was being restructured to withstand higher energetic voltage. That quiet season allowed your capacity to expand far beyond what would have been possible amid noise or performance. And now, as more people begin drawing on your presence for insight, grounding, or direction, you can actually hold the weight without fracture. You've built an inner framework strong enough to remain open without collapsing. Emotional waves that once felt overwhelming now move through you without dislodging you. You feel deeper, but with clarity. You're accessible, not available to everyone. And as your field strengthens, so does its pull, not just romantically, but energetically across all areas of your life. This draw doesn't come from aesthetics or charm, it comes from embodiment. You've become a frequency others crave. But with that comes a deeper responsibility, to listen to the signals beneath the surface. Some are drawn to your clarity because they're ready. Others, because they want access to what they haven't yet earned. Your body will register the truth before your mind does, and in this next phase, the body becomes your most accurate instrument. What looks golden may carry strings. Not all opportunity is aligned. Some invitations mask extraction. You're no longer in a season where you say yes because it looks good on paper. Discernment has matured into refusal, not from ego, but from knowing. Not all prestigious rooms are elevated. Not all spiritual gatherings are sincere. You now choose based on resonance, not reputation. You don't owe anyone a role in your unfolding. The visions moving through you now are encoded with frequency, their impact isn't measured in followers or applause. Some creations will shift thousands. Others will quietly rewire the lives of a few. Both are sacred. Both matter. And the increase in resources you're seeing? That's not a reward. It's infrastructure for your mission. Money, at this level, becomes a current, not a trophy. It's meant to flow, not stagnate. To amplify, not decorate. Your rising prosperity is a mirror of how much trust the universe places in your stewardship. You're not here to hoard or to prove. You're here to circulate transformation. And the energy you move through your work is just as valuable as the form it takes. There's a way you now interact with resources that redefines the meaning of wealth entirely. Instead of chasing accumulation, you are becoming a living example of circulation, of value being routed toward elevation. The way you manage, spend, and receive is no longer shaped by old scarcity blueprints, but by consciousness. And others around you can feel it. They're watching you rewrite the rules, not just with words, but with embodiment. What once felt like loss or restriction now reveals itself as finely tuned redirection. Delays, disruptions, and sudden shifts weren't punishments, they were filters. Systems kept you from paths that would have fragmented your vision. People exposed their patterns just in time to spare you deeper entanglement. Looking back, what felt like failure was actually your guardianship in motion. Your energy has become structurally different. There's an architecture in place now, not defensive, but wise. You don't block out the world, you simply no longer absorb what doesn't belong to you. It's not armor out of fear, but coherence built through initiation. That resilience you earned wasn't only for survival. It's now your stabilizer, your shield, and your clarity. This deeper sense of internal safety allows for greater openness. You no longer navigate from hypervigilance, but from inner direction. Knowing that anything not rooted in alignment naturally moves around you changes how you engage with life. What once required protection now responds to presence. Your groundedness has become your new defense system. As your perceptive gifts sharpen, you're not just reading the energy of individuals, you're sensing collective undercurrents. Your choices influence more than your own experience. They shape momentum for others connected to you. What used to feel like random insight now organizes itself into pattern recognition, glimpses of possibility, threads of future outcomes.